Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Hare. Who's your Mridanga teacher? Huh? How did you learn to play Mridanga? By listening. What do you listen to? There's a teacher, right?
Well, all the people from.
That's it. You're listening to Kirtan, you're Mridanga. What do you think?
Turning on the job. Pick it up. It's fine.
I think you're going to have to find another place for your Mridanga.
Can you give it to us?
Take the Mridanga and put it somewhere else. Could you want to sit over here?
Yeah, that's what my.
You're okay over there. Okay.
Okay.
For those that need a place to sit, there's some other place these young men can move if somebody needs a chair. Okay. Don't go too far away, Govinda. This is not going to be a really long class, so let's see how it goes. We're on chapter 4. Instead of saying nishtha, it says steadfast devotion. So we're heading through the anartha-nivritti towards the nishtha stage. One of the ways of describing what nishtha stage is, where the anarthas are nearly eradicated, and we'll hear that this anartha-nivritti stage continues even beyond. So it takes up a big part of our bhakti life. Shraddha to Prema. So here's the list of the 9 stages. This just taken this whole book, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's book of 9 stages of bhakti, 2 verses from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Shraddha, a preliminary desire for self-realization. And we heard Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explain that preliminary desire for self-realization comes from association with those who are carrying bhakti, little by who knows how many lifetimes, little by little. And so by that accumulation of that bhakti association, then in one lifetime there is a pre-existing preliminary desire, Shraddha. And then when that preliminary desire is recognized by Krishna, Krishna may send, and one has an urge to associate with, Krishna may send sadhu. And in that sadhu sangha stage, there's passing on of knowledge, but also the rendering of devotional service. Now, Vishwanath has done what Srila Prabhupada would also do, or vice versa, Prabhupada would do what Vishwanath would also do. The stage of taking shelter under a spiritual master and receiving initiation, all of that is one category, bhajana kriya stage. And then comes this really big, broad one, and we're going to be spending most of our time on this topic this evening. The topic this evening is largely a review of this very broad category from its beginning stages and its intermediate stages, heading towards the more advanced stage of the Nishtha stage. Removal of unwanted desires, then Nishtha, that's where we're headed. Next, steadiness in devotional service, Nishtha, or using superior intelligence to develop a taste for devotional service. So that means in the bhajana kriya stage, there may or may not be a taste yet, but an inclination for service, because that was already there from the very beginning stages. And with its association with sadhu, then comes the regular activities of devotional service, and then eventually a taste, ruchi, relish for hearing, chanting, etc. Asakti, single-minded attachment to devotional service. Asakti means attachment. Performed while meditating on Lord Krishna's eternal pastimes, which appear in the devotee's heart spontaneously by their own will. Sarasaki Bhava. We heard a little bit about this during the Japa retreat. And I did some further research on that. What Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, it's actually drawn from Madhurya Kadambini, but when there's a tendency for affinity for material activity or material objects, then Tarangarangani is a phrase that he uses, riding the waves, the little waves. Rangani is diminutive. Riding the little waves of material activities, material sense objects, etc., etc. And when Krishna sees, this is the teaching from this chapter, and then again in Canto 10, Chapter 87, Text 33. There's a slight reference, but when when one is trying, that's where the one's trying, even when that affinity for material enjoyment is lingering. Go ahead. do what you got to do. And simultaneously, the devotee is eagerly trying to be hearing attentively the sound of Krishna's name, the sound of the mantra, and trying. So the mind is being disturbed by the movements of material attraction. Krishna intervenes. He may. And this is the description in this chapter. He makes, with his Swarup Shakti, his own spiritual potency, he assists the devotee by making the pastimes of Krishna, the name of Krishna, the form of Krishna, the associates of Krishna, Krishna activity appear within the mind that neutralizes and makes the Taranga Rangini, the riding of the waves of material enjoyment, subside and become inconsequential. So that's what he writes in this chapter. Bhava, spontaneous devotional sentiments, and prema, awakening of love of Godhead. So, review. That's this evening's topic. The principle of what is anartha and what is the anartha nivritti activity or stage, or transition stage of devotional life, and emphasis on anishtata, moving towards the steady stage, no disturbances. So, review. Anartha nivritti is the clearing of unwanted things. So, many of us know there are these 4 pillars of material activity: dharma, artha, karma, moksha. And for the most part, people who are engaged in dharma, they do so because they have an expectation. Do something to get something. It's fruitive. And that artha is what they want. And artha is prosperity or wealth or money. So you do something that's pious. You do dharma, that's what to be done, and avoiding what's not to be done. And the consequence is there's prosperity, or one in this life or the next life, one can achieve something wanted. And that's artha, something wanted. And anartha is something unwanted. And it's understood to be subtle desire. It's not just the activity or the object that one wants, it's the subtle desire that's moving the whole machine forward. And as it says here, it's overlapped with many other higher stages. So from where do they arise? This is our topic. There's going to be a list of 4 sinful activities. And we're not going to spend too much time because sinful activities is easy to understand. But a little more difficult to understand is how pious activities gives rise to something unwanted. And it's not so difficult, actually. From Queen Kunti's prayers, there are benefits that come from that she is receiving the benefit of. Janma Aishwarya Shuta Shribir Edimanamarakaman. This benefit, these categories are 4. So supposing somebody is pious, and they can expect, and sure enough the material energy delivers, good birth, Aishwarya, material opulence, good education, and beauty. Those 4. Those are material opulences that come from pious activities. And the difficulty is you get those pious fruits, and there's a tendency to want to be an enjoyer. And there's all those are asat categories, and then there's this trishna. Trishna means thirst for enjoying material facilities. So pious activities are done to get the material facilities. Being the enjoyer of those material facilities, that's an anartha. Bhakti successfully performed. And that's, maybe we have to worry about that. We don't worry about performing bhakti successfully, but we have to worry about labha, puja, and pratishta. Again, it's, the fame, name, form, category, position, honor, distinction, something, and wanting to be the enjoyer of those things, or trying to be naturally an enjoyer of those things. That's an anartha. And then finally, offense is on a material platform. It's just negating the material, and negating the material without proper shelter of service to Krishna. It stays on the material platform. So we're going to go through each of these gross material things, the fruits of piety. So the enjoying tendency in principle, it's material, it's blocked bhakti. Being the enjoyer of the fruits of piety, that the fruits may entice one to enjoy the fruits, and that enjoying the fruits of bhakti, the fruits of piety, blocks bhakti. Powerful. And one may have lots of fruits of piety, and there's a difficulty. If you have lots of fruits of piety and a heart that's impure, you've all heard this from me 100 times over. It's a little math formula. You know this one? Fruits of piety plus a heart that's impure equals pride. Guaranteed. And who doesn't have an impure heart? So, and then if there's some piety and the fruits of piety, one feels proud. And there's a whole seminar on this. That's where this image comes from. But the I and mine conceptions of self, it keeps one a prisoner. And pride is the mine portion of the I and mine. So you start with, it's easy. I'm this body. So what's mine? What's mine is what comes from this body. That's mine. So my work, therefore money, and with money I buy stuff, and the stuff that's in the category of mine. And then from this body may come children, and that they're mine. And then my house, my bank balance, my taxes, mine. I and mine. And it keeps one really busy in material life. The mine portion, that's where pride takes shelter. And pride is very difficult to let go of. Even it's very dangerous, and one can recognize it's dangerous, and someone's lending a helping hand, and I'm too attached to my pride. The material, the bodily conception, the mind portion of the I and mine. Here's from scripture, Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Lord Krishna is never very far from they who are humble. He's just up on that tree, that's all. He is watching them as they're feeling separation from Krishna, the gopis. Many tall mountains stand between us and Lord Krishna, and they who are proud. Directly, Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Mountain-like obstacle. Beware of the beast named pride. And Raghunath Das Goswami teaches this. I'm sure you're familiar. We've covered this many times. Raghunath Das Goswami was a Rasika Bhakta. in the association of other Rasika Bhaktas. And he was writing this book, at least parts of the book, how those of us that may not be, how we can become like him. And the very, very first thing is, aside from where to be attached, where to not be attached. And give up pride. Sada, always. Dum bum. Even sounds bad. Hitva, giving up. In all circumstances, give up pride. So now, more on this pious activity, Sukriti. We saw this nice little list of these 4 things. Gross material things. Punya leading to Swarga. Mystic siddhis. And now we're going to spend some time with this item that some people don't like. And you don't let this on the list. They want liberation, moksha. They think that's the goal, so you're putting this on the list of something that's temporary and unwanted. They'll object. But when the main point is, I'm still at the center. Not Krishna's at the center. My happiness, my attainment, it's I and mine again. So it still falls in the category of mine because it's all about me. My liberation. And the desire for my liberation. So the desire for has different terminologies. Trishna, Spraha, sometimes in the language, the poetic language of our acharyas, they use this word, Spraha, or Asha, desire. Here's Rupa Goswami using this Mukti Spraha. Mukti Spraha Yavat Pishachi Hridi Vartate Tavad. What happened?
The speaker,
But you didn't touch anything. It just he touched something.
No, she touched it. She wanted to increase it.
Let's go back. The material desire to enjoy the material world and the desire to become liberated from material bondage, mukti spraha. This word spraha means desire. So, mukti, same spraha, yavat. So there's yavat tavat. Whereas this, so that. That's how the language of this metaphor thing works. Yavat tavat. Tavat bhakti, so kashyatra katam abhyudayo bhavet. They are considered 2 witches. We're going to see a little witch lady down here in the corner. And they haunt one like ghosts. As long as these witches remain within the heart, how can one feel transcendental bliss? As long as these 2 witches remain in the heart, there's no possibility of enjoying the transcendental bliss of devotional service. You all know the story. You should know the story. I'll tell it in case you don't know the story. There was one sadhu that was visiting, I'll not say his name. There was one sadhu that was visiting an acharya, very advanced Vaishnava, and Rupa Goswami was recognizing his erudition, and so he requested this scholar, Vaishnava scholar, to look over his writing of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and suggest anything that he felt needed editing. An extemporaneous editor. So some days passed and the learned Vaishnava said, I liked everything except this one. You're comparing the desire for liberation to be like one of two witches. Yes, I understand the desire to enjoy the material world, but call the desire for liberation a witch? Maybe you can think of a different word. That was his comment. And the story goes like this. Jiva Goswami was to escort this learned Vaishnava to take bath in the Jamuna, and while walking to the river Jamuna, Jiva Goswami scolded him. A senior person in age, we were hearing about respect, so senior in age, but Jiva Goswami wanted to preserve and protect the honor of his spiritual master, Rupa Goswami, and so he argued, this is exactly the right word because and all of his way of logic and reasoning in reference to scripture and why it's the perfect appropriate word. So when the learned Vaishnava scholar came back from taking his bath, he said to Rupa Goswami, this nephew of yours, wow, he's very learned, and this is what he said, and he's right. It was just the perfect word. Rupa Goswami didn't say anything at that moment, but later he scolded severely Jiva Goswami. This isn't etiquette. You're a resident of Vrindavan, you're my disciple, and you're transgressing etiquette. You're not fit to live in Vrindavan. Leave Vrindavan. Ooh. It's a nice story. So what he did was, Jiva, he went up the river Jamuna, heading towards Mathura. He found an empty alligator hole along the bank of the river Jamuna, and he made that his place of residence. There was no alligator in the backside either. And that's where he stayed for some time. And because he considered himself to be an offender, as he was chastised by Rupa Goswami, as his food, he simply ate Ganges mud, or Jamuna mud. Yummy. That was his meals. And he got sick from just eating Ganges mud. And Sanatana Goswami came to know that he was missing, and he asked around, had anyone seen a sadhu? And they said, well, there's somebody living in an alligator hole. Maybe that's your nephew. And sure enough. And the way the story goes is, he coaxed him out and said, I'll take care of it. You come with me. So, he's going to be a follower of Sanatana Goswami's instruction. And without showing who he was bringing, Sanatana Goswami examined Rupa Goswami. According to the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the most outstanding quality of a Vaishnava? Jivadaya. Oh, very good. And here's one jiva. Please give your daya. And so everything was nice again. And he got well after eating all that Jamuna mud. And there are critics of Jiva Goswami who point to this particular incident and say, just see. He was proud. He was a vastly learned person and proud of his vast learning. And, here's a flaw in the character of Jiva Goswami. They say or write or, express, some of the contemporaries particularly, because they were envious of him. Anyway, that's a little nice story. One of the two witches. Mukti and Mukti. Spriha Yavat. So now we saw this slide before. We're going to go through the slide one more time. Anartha Nivritti means cleansing of anarthas. From where do anarthas arise? Sinful activities, pious activities, bhakti successfully performed. That's the one we're going to be discussing now. Bhakti successfully performed. So besides pious activities, bhakti may also result in honor, fame, distinction, something. And so here's a little description from Madhurya Kadambini. Enjoying the facilities offered by bhakti successfully is problematic. And the phrase that is connected with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment about when Krishna sees a devotee is sincerely trying to overcome such tendency, the Tarangarangani tendency, or the waves in the mind of contemplating enjoyment because of being somehow a little successful in bhakti, Krishna personally makes an arrangement to appear within the mind of that person, and it's very similar to what the other acharyas described, particularly what Bhaktivinoda Thakur described about the rising of from hearing and receiving the hearing capacity, the presence of the holy name situated within the heart makes his appearance, and that the name dances on one's tongue, etc. in that sequence. So, what to do when you do some successful bhakti? I was thinking, our initiates hearing all this glorification about themselves. Please stop. So one of the things to not do is just, don't. Like, that may be a reflex, but that's not a cultured way of dealing with bhakti that's successfully performed. Then it's very simple. There's multiple very simple methods. The credit doesn't go to me, the credit goes to him or her, or to them, to my guru, to my teachers, to those, the Mridanga classes. No, not Mridanga classes, just hearing Kirtan and Vrindavan, and credit goes to them. You play very nicely. Credit goes to them. Don't let it stick. That's the idea. Don't let it stick. If you let it stick, that's a problem. At last. There are devotees that feel very disturbed, sad, and sad becomes disturbed. There's no appreciation. And the unspoken is, I want to be appreciated. But there's no appreciation. There's this sangha, or this place, these people, So it's proper. Someone is successful in bhakti. You cooked a very nice feast. You led a very nice kirtan. You gave a nice class. You dressed the deities very nicely. You organized the festival. Haribol, Prabhu, and no. It's all these Prabhus. I was just given some opportunity to do a little service, and they were doing all the service. I was just, acting as if I was the boss or something, but they were. So you give the credit to others. You pass the credit on to those persons who have trained you, and by their mercy, I'm here at all. And, and not just cosmetically, but genuinely, don't let it stick. You don't say no either. But you can say no, but, let the honor go to those who are worthy of the honor, etc. Did you taste the chapatis that were burned? You thought it was a nice feast, right? Did you taste the chapatis that were burned? Anyway, deflecting praise. so that others are receiving the praise. And then this is the offense category. And, there's people are very eager to criticize the offender, and the offender can feel crushed and broken when in fact there's an offense. You need something?
They wanted. There's no space in the back. They wanted us.
There's more space in the back.
There's no space.
There's no space in the back.
He just moved on, not just.
Yeah, okay, you can move the harmonium.
Some people can come here. Here and we have space here.
Okay, we're going to do a little timeout. The timeout so the people that came late will have a place to sit properly. Look, there's a place over here, there's a place over here, there's a place over where on top of the harmonium. Come on in. Do it now, because we're not going to stop and do this traffic control again. Well done. Besides, you get a front row seat. You made room for somebody back there. Well done. Lion King Jr.
I was in the play.
Huh? You were in the play. I'm just teasing you. Don't mind me. I can make another joke. Okay. Okay. Good. So offense. And offense is a big one. It's very real. And the reaction for offense is very real and very severe. So don't mess with offense. So here's different kinds of offense. Seva aparad, Vaishnava aparad, Jiva aparad, Nam aparad. When you're watching, you have 4 different directions you can make mess. Seva aparad. So learn by observing and by hearing and by scripture and by the various methods of learning what are some of the offenses to be avoided when engaging in service. Something that I appreciate very much with in hearing and reading these biographies by those who had intimate association with Prabhupada, he was really strict. He was very kind and correcting, but sometimes he was very strict, and that the person who messed heard it and they felt it, that the rod of chastisement. And, when Prabhupada would correct somebody from, with their hand touching this and then touching that and then washing their hand and so many things. So many things. And Prabhupada saw, and Prabhupada said, and he let them know, sometimes he would say, training your Western devotees is like washing a lump of coal. And, it wasn't intentional. It's just, the culture of no culture, and you don't have any culture, and you do things that are not to be done. And you don't do the things that are to be done. And even when you're trying to do the things that are to be done, you do them in such a way that's not to be done. And Prabhupada would, sometimes say nothing, sometimes just tilt his head back, raise his eyebrows, indicating you did it again. And sometimes, strictly, you know, and when correcting, it's not so much, again and again, it's not so much the mistake once is to be understood. It's you're a lump of coal, okay. But once an instruction was given, Prabhupada expected it would not be repeated. A mistake or something not to be done. You get corrected and you stay corrected. And then it was happened again, and when it happened again, and then it would happen again, sometimes it was said his lip would tremble. He was just like, I'm not going to he wasn't even going to talk about it. He was angry. That was more severe than being chastised. Anyway, Sevaparad. Or these two terms, they're used interchangeably. Vaishnavaparad or Sadhu Ninda. So here's some details about Sevaparad. It's only an aparad when done deliberately. So sometimes, because it says here there's a PDF, and I don't know if I circulated a PDF. Did I give something to you to circulate? No? Yes? No. Just now coming. I'll find it and just give it to Bhangsidhari and he'll circulate. So those are offenses that once you know, so there's no offense if you don't know, so don't know, right? Don't read the PDF. Clever. You got it, huh? No, it's good to know what's to be avoided and to avoid it. And then when some mistakes are made, either deliberately or just by being dull and, Prabhupada said, and you did it anyways, and you did it anyways, and third times anyways. What do you do when you're a dull person? You keep doing something that's not to be done, or making an offense. There's standard procedures, there are prayers for such offense, and that it helps. It's not a cure, but it's the appeal to a higher authority, ultimately to Krishna or other Vaishnavas or senior personalities or exalted personalities, to help, to give mercy to one who's deserving or needing mercy. And chanting the holy name effectively has the natural outcome that all reactions to Sevaparāds are cleansed. Isn't that good news? So all you have to do is chant properly. That's all. Sadhu Ninda, in this list of bhajana kriya, this sadhu ninda is also namaparad, so it has double force. So we have to be careful about offending sadhu. And who are the categories of those who are sadhu? Bhakti, bhakta, and the Lord's mercy are the fundamental basis for attaining the Lord. Similarly, disrespect, which is a topic we were discussing, faithlessness, negligence, and blasphemy of them are grave obstacles blocking the way of attaining pure bhakti. And so a person may look frumpy like this, like he's whatever. It's not our favorite kind of sadhu-looking type of person. So the looks of the person is not the essence of the person. And there are persons that hide behind, their costume or their hairstyle or whatever it is, and they're not really sadhu because their behaviors are bad. I was just hearing this description this morning from Hari Sori's diary, his time with Srila Prabhupada, Transcendental Diary, Akshayananda was the temple president during that period of time that the Krishna Balaram temple was being constructed. And he pointed out to Prabhupada, see over there's this Baba, and he's planning to build a big temple with all deities under the sun in that temple. And he's a popular personality. And there's only one thing. He smokes a lot of cigarettes every day. And so they give him a nickname. I forget what the nickname is, but crazy. Buggle Baba. Buggle. You know the guy?
No.
Okay, you've heard of the guy. But I just not know the guy. No trade secrets here. But Puggle with a P. Crazy, mad. So this fellow was said to be mad. So anyway, and so Prabhupada started joking about his madness, and because people are mad, they consider him a Baba, a sadhu. But he's mad, and they're mad because he's mad, and they're honoring him as if he was a real thing. And in this way, things have deteriorated so much right here in Vrindavan. That's Prabhupada's statement. So, having discerning capacity is important, and respecting those that are worthy of respect is important. Don't disrespect. Skanda Purana. This is on the category of Vaishnava Parad. 6 types. Kill a Vaishnava, blaspheme him, hate him, not greet him, be angry with him, and not being glad to see him. Skanda Purana. From Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sadhu Ninda is the mad elephant offense likened to releasing a mad elephant into your garden. Poor garden. There's the elephant. Where's the garden? If the devotee commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnav while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. So, to be avoided. Looks pretty spooky. Padma Purana. Even if a sinful person with all bad qualities, who lacks proper behavior, is wicked, fallen, and deceitful, is liberated if he takes shelter of the lotus feet of Govinda. If such an ill-behaved person is in fact devoted to the Lord, he is to be known as a sadhu. So, Nama Parad number 3. So this isn't an exercise in going through all the 10 offenses. It's just highlighting some, as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has done. Just as it is an offense to blaspheming sadhus, likewise it is an offense to disrespect the Guru, not chanting the mantra given by the Guru, and not practicing devotion according to his instructions is offensive, since it is neglectful. So here's a nice illustration from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. And there's Gopakumar getting this mantra from, he doesn't even know his name, but his guru, later he finds his name. And he steadfastly continues chanting. Even through the chanting, he goes all the way to Tapaloka, which is a very elevated realm. And the devotees, or the personalities, the tapasvis in Tapaloka, They like meditation. And they get so absorbed in meditation that when he's moving around, bothered commentary on this verse, without having bothered to receive all the mantra's benefits, how could Gopakumar properly acknowledge them? How can I have feeling of gratitude if I don't even know what it is? If I haven't experienced it subjectively? So let me experience the fullness. My kindness and mercy I've been given. How can I not experience the fullness of what this mantra is? Some other offenses. Disrespect the Vedas. Well, someone might say, because the Shrutis do not directly mention bhakti, instead the Shrutis emphasize karma kanda, and so I can disrespect that portion of the Vedas that's the karma kanda portion of the Vedas. No. See them as steps on the yoga ladder. So don't be disrespectful to any part of the Vedas. There's a purpose, and that purpose is to lead one in next, the yoga ladder. How to nullify the offense. Praise the Vedas. Praising those who practice and teach the Vedas. No, we're skipping much further ahead. Not being attached or attentive to the holy name in spite of hearing its glories is the 10th offense. This offense is the root of all the additional 9 offenses. This is straight from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur also writes in Harinam Chintamani. From distraction, all types of inattention are born. If one has attraction for enjoying the temporary, this Tarangarangani message, one will naturally be inattentive to the holy name. So the message in this Madhurya Kadambini is, despite that tendency, strive to be very attentive in hearing while chanting. Strive to be very attentive to hearing. Try to hear with, as Bhaktisiddhanta expressed, with the spiritual ear. That kind of hearing. And then everything, the inattention and distraction, etc., dissolves. So I'm going to try to finish this up quickly. Vishwanath, goes into what about if you go really high in the bhakti life and you go all the way to the stage to Bhava Bhakti, and like Bharat Maharaj did, how is it possible you go so high you can fall? And his answer is because of aparad. I searched, I couldn't find what was that aparad that he did, but it does repeat. He did some aparad. Bharat Maharaj attained Bhava Bhakti by extensive and deep devotion to Surya Narayana at Pulaha Ashram along the Gandaki River in Haridwar, that's way up north. However, the mind of King Bharata became distracted while engaging in his devotional activities. And there's the distraction, that little deer, you know the story. I don't need to repeat the whole story. So after rescuing the deer, because the mother deer heard a roar of a lion and she jumped, and when she jumped, the baby deer, the fawn, came out of her mother's body. She got swept away in the current of the river. That Bharat came and rescued the baby deer, and then the baby deer became like his little pet. And it's not, none of that specifically was a problem, except that it became excessive. And when it became excessive, consciously, knowingly, he slackened his devotional practices. And when that happened, he became then vulnerable. Here's what is said in the Bhagavatam, Canto 5. Shukadeva Goswami said, Bharat Maharaj was overwhelmed by uncontrollable desire which was manifest in the form of the deer. Due to the fruitive results of his past deeds, he fell down from mystic yoga, austerity, and worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If it were not due to past fruitive activity, how could he have been attracted to the deer after giving up the association of his own son and family, considering them stumbling blocks on the path of spiritual life? How could he show uncontrollable affection for a deer? This was definitely due to his past karma. And Jiva Goswami adds, ordinary fruitive activities are not strong enough to create such an impediment or fall down on the path of devotional service. Therefore, fruitive activities, which was mentioned, must have been offenses performed in a previous birth. In this way, King Bharata is like King Indradyumna and other devotees that committed offense. So there's Bharat Maharaj who fell off a cliff and remembering the deer became a deer. King Bharata's willful neglect of bhakti due to a past offense resulted in his overattachment to the deer and thus fall down. Sanatana Goswami expresses it a little differently. Same topic. The great souls who spontaneously serve the names of Lord Hari fear to reveal the vast treasure of his confidential devotional service. So they behave in peculiar ways to show their own faults and unhappiness. There's a Brihat Bhagavatamrita verse. Here's his commentary. What about advanced worshippers like Bharat Maharaj, whose impending sinful reactions apparently kept going on? We should understand that when saintly devotees like Bharata, deeply absorbed in the moods of loving service to the Lord, seem to exhibit material attachment, as when Bharat became obsessed with the care of an infant deer. And when they seem to fall into bad association and miserable conditions, as when Bharata took up his next birth as an animal, they are only pretending to be materially affected in order to keep the confidential moods of devotional service hidden from public view. Such devotees would rather be treated with undeserved contempt than honored and worshipped. So there's another option. If you get praise for doing nice devotional service, become attached to a deer and pretend that you don't like, you're not affected at all by praise. Just you try it. But better be on the Bhava Bhakti platform if you're going to do that one. The imitation platform doesn't work. He continues. So this is text 170, and here's text 171. All devotees of the Lord are freed from contamination and misery simply by the sankirtan of his names. Yet some devotees, as disturbed by comparison as the Lord himself, act in these ways to teach people civilized behavior. And commentary by Sanatana Goswami. Shouldn't advanced devotees, in order to deliver the world from ignorance, let everyone see their greatness? Yes. But the so-called anomalous behavior of Vaishnavas like Bharat Maharaj is in fact their way of teaching sadachar, civilized human behavior. By the examples of their own lives, they show the consequences of violating the laws of God and material nature. For if people fail to learn how to act according to civilized standards, their hearts will remain contaminated by sinful desires, and they will never become inclined toward the Lord's devotional service. And the next verse, as Bharat and others showed the fault of bad association, Yudhisthira and others, the fault of gambling, and Nriga and others, the fear caused by taking a Brahmana's property. Pure souls generally use their own behavior to teach the people. Sanatana Goswami's commentary. Bharata Maharaj showed by his own life the danger of wrong association. Although almost perfectly devoted and renounced, he was distracted into caring for a newborn deer, and therefore he had to suffer birth as a deer. In a similar case, that of Shaubari Rishi, who was deviated from meditation by seeing two fish engaged in sex, in the opinion of the Vaikuntha Dutas, however, in reality, these elevated souls were faultless. Okay, enough with Bharat Maharaj. Now, who's this fellow? Dvidvita gorilla. And Balaram hit him in the collarbone, and that was the end of Dvidvita. So he also, Dvidvita, made an offense long ago. And when he made that offense, he was on an elevated platform, but he didn't properly respect Lakshmana. He disrespected Lakshmana. Though Dvidvita was a minister of the great devotee Sugriva and an associate of Lord Ramachandra, he became corrupted by the bad association of Naraka, which caused anarthas to rise in him. This bad association was the reaction of an offense Dvidvita had committed when he disrespected Lakshmana due to being proud of his strength. Pride. Beware. Do nicely, and don't let the appreciation for your doing nicely stick. Problema. Mucho problema. And that pride led to pride, in his case, pride that he was a warrior. He was a very powerful warrior. He was proud of his strength, and he disrespected Lakshmana. And he got into a problem because of that disrespect of Lakshmana. That was his offense. And then he fell into bad association and became corrupted. Mahat aparad. There's the possibility of offending mahats, even at the stage of rati or prema. When a sadhaka who has attained prema gets the full mercy of the Lord with direct association and service, then only cessation of aparadhodita anartha is absolute. So, head for prema, everybody, and beware of making offense along the way. It can be very problematic. Anarthas arising from offense. Generally, offense refers to nama parad. Nama, in this case, this is important, indicates all 9 limbs of bhakti. Each of the 9 limbs of bhakti destroys anarthas, although the primary anga of the 9 is the holy name. So nama parad means all the categories of bhakti. Neglect angas of bhakti out of enthusiasm is not an offense. This is Sridhar Swami's commentary. Closing the eyes and running while eagerly pursuing the goal does not result in aparad. Here's a nice example. We all know the example. the elderly lady who was coming before the deity of Lord Jagannath, and because there was a crowd in front of Lord Jagannath, she couldn't see the deity, so she climbed up on the shoulders of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, holding onto the Garuda Stamba so she could see the deity. And poor Govinda, get down. And Mahaprabhu stopped him. No. If only I had such enthusiasm to see Lord Jagannath, my life would become perfect. It still doesn't mean, so it's not an offense, but it's an offense. So we don't follow that kind of example. Padma Purana and Brahmanda Kanda section of Padma Purana. Oh, best of the Brahmanas. Offenses against the holy name result in a person losing all piety, and for him, the mundane manifests in transcendental objects, and vice versa. Aparad. Apa means that which drives away, and radha, one's desire for perfection, one's desired perfection. Apa, radha. So, anadara, or inattention, leads to aparad. So, don't be inattentive, because it leads to aparad. It's not in itself, but it leads to. Conclusion, this is it. As a fruit-bearing tree bears fruits only after a certain period of time, not just at any time, nor immediately upon being planted, similarly, a devotee blessed by the holy name is showered with the mercy of the name in the proper time. So if all the glories of the holy name are not manifest so swiftly as you would like it to be patient. And chapter 3. Guess what? Next time I come, we'll start with chapter 4. And we're going to go way up. I hope you don't get dizzy, because it's really elevated subject matter. But if you can remember what we heard from the first 3 chapters, it'll be easier to follow the higher messages. Because the main part, practically speaking, the main part is in this anartha-nivritti stage. I mean, there's no harm. In fact, it's good to have a target, or where is this anartha-nivritti path taking me? Where does this path go? To the stage of nishtha. And nishtha means where, for the most part, largely, the anarthas are gone, so that one can be fixed, nishtha, in those spiritual activities. And when that fixed with spiritual, within the realm of spiritual activity, there's an experience, and that's, the experience of who we are. At least closer to the reality of who we are. And otherwise, we're not there yet. But what do you do when you're not there yet? You keep going. Properly following with faith, it's going to get you there. Okay. Well, we managed to feed everybody in this nice space here. Well done. Could you see from way back there? You could see the screen sufficiently? Any comments or questions? Your hand went up real fast. Behind you. It didn't.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay, try again. He's fiddling with the dial.
Microphone in.
Just try.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I can hear you.
Maharaj, I have two questions.
Two.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Maharaj, for somebody who is going through anartha nivritti
That is all of
stage,
us. Yeah.
so there can be a lot of disturbances in the mind, like a lot of lusty desires and other bad stuff. So like, how does one develop tolerance and strength so one can go smoothly through the
You
stage?
don't have a choice. by practice and by associating with those that are a little further along the path than you, and you look up to them and you assist them and serve them as best you can and learn from them. And, you know, things that they would like to do, you try to assist them in things that they would like to do, and you'll learn how to be not distracted and how to be, you know, more fixed. So by sadhu sangha, a short answer is sadhu sangha. Find some sadhus that you can look up to, and, you know, be respectful to those who are peers and so forth, and be kind to those. So but find those persons who you can look up to, and learn from them and serve them. Not just hang out, but, you know, be in the mood of service. And things that are meaningful to them, find out something that's meaningful to them, or ask them, is there something? And they'll say, no, I mean, and you find something anyways. Some service. And that, you know, that's a softening of the heart. And the softening of the heart allows that which they have, which you respect, to be transmitted to you, to that medium of service. It's a nice program. Your second question.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, second question is, like, when somebody does end up losing the battle to their mind and senses during this stage, so how can one process the guilt associated with it in a healthy way?
You have a funeral. Let that part of them die, and, you know, get born again and start all over again. So don't dwell on the mistake. It is what it is. Some regret, and like Prabhupada's example is child learning to walk. And it's good to have a mother that's helping the child learn to walk, so that she can hold their hand, and they tumble, and so get up and toddle again a couple of steps, and then tumble again. So, because the walking propensity is there, it'll come out by practice. So by not dwelling on the mistake, mistakes are human. To err is human. And then go beyond the humanness. Try, strive, move. Stay focused on where you want to go. And be in association and service of those that are more along that same path than you. Same as the other question.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Right in front of you.
Just wanted to do a sound check in case that the speaker. So, Maharaj, today you talked about pride, and on that topic, one thing that came to my mind was when I was doing some research for a project, I was looking to know more about pride. So a devotee told me to look into a particular verse from Bhagavad Gita 13.8. So I wanted to know what Srila Prabhupada had to say about pride. So in there, Krishna talks about pridelessness or humility, and Srila Prabhupada defines it in the purport as pridelessness being not hankering for the satisfaction satisfaction of being honored or validated from other people.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm mentioning that is because I feel like that definition of Srila Prabhupada is essentially a summary of this big presentation on all of this here. So
We like following Prabhupada.
yes, that's right. And what I noticed is we know the dangerousness of pride, and we've seen that through various examples. But then again, when many devotees appreciate another devotee for a service, I've seen cases where someone didn't even say thank you. They closed their ears and ran away from me. If I said, like, I really liked how they did a particular service. So I think the key that you mentioned, this is just a comment, it's not a question, is not letting that appreciation stick to us, but then giving the credit to the acharyas, gurus, and then to all those other devotees who were,
Tell your
who were
mom.
involved. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what was running in my mind when I was hearing this presentation. So that's all. Thank you, Maharaj.
I like that reference, that pridelessness, not seeking the happiness that comes from being honored. Pridelessness. And the pride is the opposite. Seeking that recognition and wallowing in it. It sticks. Okay. Yes, over on the...
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I always have this question in mind whenever I hear Bharat Maharaj's story. And so, like, the other, like Yudhishthira's offense, gambling, and the other offenses mentioned in the slide. But to me, I feel like Bharat Maharaj had compassion. And I understand it's over attachment.
Yeah, there was no problem. He gets an A in his exam. He did what a Kshatriya should do.
Mm-hmm.
He rescued the fawn. No problem.
But then why did he, because it was offensive that he fell down.
Well, the offense, the fell down was the consequence, and the offense specifically was neglecting his spiritual practices. It's said in the commentary, I didn't read that particular, but he consciously desisted. It diminished, and then he desisted from his spiritual practices. It's like somebody's chanting and chanting and chanting, and then suddenly, or over time, their chanting diminishes, and then they stop chanting. Now, there's a protection by following, and the protection from the name, and there's a vulnerability when you desist. So, why would somebody, it's not a good idea. Why would somebody do it? In his case, I already said, I don't know, because I haven't been able to find it anywhere, so maybe it's written somewhere, but I don't know where that somewhere is. What specific offense did he perform? But there's a consequence to offense. That's clear. And somewhere along the line, some offense. It doesn't say which lifetime. It doesn't say what it was done, what was said. It doesn't say. But there's a consequence for that offense. And the consequence was slackening. And then in that slackening, you replace the affinity for transcendence to affinity for something else. In this case, it was the deer. The deer was the manifestation of that affinity.
Because being compassionate is a
It's good.
quality.
It's good. It's good. He gets an A in his exam. He did as a Kshatriya should do. He was protecting. No problem. Rescue all baby deer that you want. It's okay. And you're not even a Kshatriya, and it's okay. But so attached that his bhakti slackened. And that's the consequence of the offense. There's something else going on, that is to say, although this misfortune came, he maintained his sense of who he was in his previous life when he became a deer. So his affinity for association of devotees continued in the body of a deer. And he heard and took prasadam with them, like et cetera, et cetera. So he continued to his spiritual activity, although he had stopped it. So it's never lost. But it certainly got covered over big time. Okay?
Thank you. Actually, I have another question.
Sure, as long as there's another question.
We have a lot of mercy from you, from our parampara, from Srila Prabhupada to have this understanding. But normally, when you see the doing pious activities, that's
good.
It's good, but then it gives you pride, and it's
a problem.
It's anartha. But then when you showed the slide for disrespecting the four Vedas, and then you said the Karma Khanda also, even though it's part of Vedas, we can still not disrespect. So it should be considered a ladder.
Yeah.
So then my question is, like, people who in general, people are looking for doing their pious activities to
standard.
That's.
And how do they know what's pious? From the Vedas. So they have faith in the Vedas. That's good. We don't want to shake that faith in the Vedas. Even it's not what the purpose of the Vedas is ultimately. So we don't disrespect the Vedas. We may not encourage them to pursue karma kanda, and with an explanation why and why not, and etc., etc. So it depends on the receptivity of the person. But some persons, they don't want to hear. Like, the criminal doesn't want to hear, and the pious person doesn't want to hear. So what do? Give them prasadam. That's what you do. And continue, being a good example of what to do. And they, then they can learn from the good example and from prasadam. And then if there is such a thing as the right time and circumstance, then, a little sound vibration in the direction of the next step on the yoga ladder. With a little fanning of a spark, and see what happens. But not, never disrespect. That's the idea. Okay?
Thank you.
Look he's got a microphone already.
Maharaj, I guess with the exception of impersonal liberation, aren't other types of liberations just a platform for us to do devotional service better than why
Can you give an example?
Well, I guess if someone's in Goloka Vrindavan, you have...
That's different.
That's not liberation?
Oh, that's liberation, sure. But, aspiring... the intention behind the aspiration is the issue. I want out of this place. It's crazy. And give me something else, please. And here's 5. Yes. But who's at the center?
Me.
Numero uno. So that's the undesirable, or the asat trishna feature. It's one of the 4 asats, because it's not our eternal position. It's not a place of ultimate shelter. You know the verse. Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. And without having shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, padam, param padam, yadvi padam. Na. So if one doesn't have that shelter, then they're going to patantyada. So it's nice, but that's not what Goloka is. So let's be clear. Apples aren't oranges. That's all. So you want to hear some more?
Yeah. I'm still a little confused on Goloka versus like just liberation.
Versus what?
Liberation.
Well, it's a subset. If you understand this one. If you have $1 million, you have $100, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's $1 million. Is it $100 here? Yeah. You sure? Yeah. Everything that $100 can do is in $1 million. Okay. So those who achieve their standing or being situated in Goloka, they didn't get there by I want out of here. I want out of this place. I want freedom from material misery. Cessation of the suffering, material existence, please. That's what I want. Thank you. That's not the ticket for getting to Goloka. The unalloyed service to Krishna and his devotees in his eternal abode. That's it. That's it. So supposing you're a nice bhakta. Let's just close our eyes and imagine you're a nice bhakta. And Prabhupada kept saying, back to Godhead. And he named the magazine Back to Godhead. Are you saying, Maharaj, are you saying, and our acharyas, are you saying we're not supposed to want to go back to Godhead? And we want to be with, and the answer is, we want to be with Krishna, but one can be with Krishna anywhere. Mama janmani jamani shri bhavatad bhakti rahituki twai. And that's the eligibility for back to Godhead, wherever you may be. That's back to Godhead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's 3 hands, and I think we're just going to do 3 hands. Go back. Microphone and towards the back.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj.
You only get one question.
Yes.
I know you. And then Juna Jivan is next.
Maharaj, that verse where it says that offenses can happen in the prema stage also, it was very difficult to understand for me. And my question was that does it apply to the sadhaka bhaktas who go from sadhana to prema, or it is applicable to the nitya siddha bhaktas also? But the main question is to understand first that how is that?
Well, this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. There is a possibility of offending mahats, even at the stage of rati or prema. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When a sadhaka who has attained prema gets the full mercy of the Lord with direct association and service, then only cessation of aparadhota anartha is absolute. Does that answer your question? No. Then articulate your question clearly. One can make an offense unknowingly, unintentionally. One can, in the prema bhakta, can make an offense. That's the statement Vishwanath's making in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's possible to offend a great soul. in the prema stage. But when that person, who, whatever their prior stage may be, to come to the prema stage, and they're in the prema stage, and they're receiving the full mercy of the Lord with direct association and service, then only cessation of aparadhota anartha is absolute. Such a person may kick, walking along, and they unintentionally they kick a pure devotee, or it's something. It's possible.
Yeah, like Rupa Goswami saw in his realization.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
like
thank
that.
you.
Like that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Now, Jiva? Thanks. And there's one other person, and we're done. Go ahead.
Sanatan Goswami's example is something I'm contemplating or thinking about, of how, connecting to your previous series here on Kalya Leela, his heart seems to be so soft that he saw the goodness in Kalya when all other commentators didn't necessarily see that. He saw the pure devotion in Kalya in allowing Krishna to smash him. And in this case, while Jiva Goswami was expressing how it was an offense that led to Bharat Maharaj doing what he did with the deer.
You're making a comment about Sanatana Goswami's soft heart.
Yes, and my question is there an application for us here of how to really give benefit of doubt in the association of Vaishnavas without necessarily...
Well, it depends on who you are and how elevated your consciousness is. We don't imitate, so it depends on your adhikar, what you can see and what you don't see, and then best if your behavior and speech are consistent with that. I mean, Jiva Goswami being sent out of Vrindavan, and Sanatana Goswami found him, brought him back. He's not like one-upping his brother. He is who he is. So we can learn, but we don't imitate. And so what we can do to take home, as the saying goes these days, it depends on your consciousness, and and be consistent with it, as Sanatana Goswami was consistent, and that's what you're pointing out. Kalya, he was bad, and Krishna confirmed, you're bad. You've contaminated. He killed so many living entities in Vrindavan, and they're Krishna's eternal associates. Bad. No question about it, bad. But, then see the good side. What's the good side? He wanted purification from Krishna, and he got it. Anyway. More? Okay. One hand in the back. Yes, and that's it.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. My question is about the fourth offense to the holy name. Sometimes it may be necessary to glorify, for example, Srimad Bhagavatam, the yoga ladder part of it. I was thinking the verse that Narada Muni quotes to Vyasadeva in the first canto, 5th chapter, right? I mean, after the literature that doesn't directly glorify the Lord is places of pilgrimage for the crows considered by saintly people. I was just thinking, I mean, what is the disrespecting the Vedic literatures, which is not directly glorifying the Lord, like Srutis and all, in relation to bringing up the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So
Bringing up the what?
glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean,
Well, in bringing I'm not sure what you're asking, but in glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam, it doesn't necessitate deprecating other parts of the Vedas. Let's take, Jamuna. Wow. And it's not to say because Jamuna was in the wow category, there weren't others also, contemporaries that were also in the wow category, but she is in the wow category of music, of cooking, of deity worship. Wow. And in bhakti, pure. So that's not to say others were not. So that's one example of saying giving the glories of the Bhagavatam is not deprecating the other parts of the Vedas. It's just is the mature, ripened fruit of all the tree of Vedic wisdom, Vedic literature, and the other fruits they don't have the same status. It's not deprecating. It's just it's a comparison. But the superlative Bhagavatam is superlative, without downplaying or deprecating the others. Does that address your question?
yes, Maharaj. I think if I can ask a little bit more, I was kind of confused with the verse that Narada Muni said gives to Vyasadeva in the first canto, 5th chapter. I think verse number 10, right, where he says
1, 5, 10.
Yeah. I think where he says that literature doesn't directly glorify the Lord is considered by saintly people as places of pilgrimage for crows.
If you're Narada, you can say stuff like that. Okay, now I understand better what your question is. The modes of nature, people in this mode, that mode, the other mode, they have liking for this mode, that mode, the other mode. And the Bhagavatam is not in the modes. It's beyond the modes completely, and others are within the modes, with some indication pointing in the direction of, keep going on the rungs of the ladder, but those that are attracted to that which is in this other section of the Vedas, they're like crows. The persons and the literature is crow-like. So let's take a look at all of what Narada says rather than just one sentence in the Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse number 10. And what's the message of Narada? And then take that message of Narada in context with Narada. That would be my advice. And it's what he's saying in context, it has its place. And it's not, Narada Muni bashing the Vedas. It's okay. Let's end. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.